When President Trump's 2026 summit with Xi Jinping was announced, it was billed as a milestone, a chance to influence the world's most consequential relationship. Yet, beneath the headlines, the U.S. and China stood at a crossroads defined not by confidence but by mounting pressures. The central question: how did the Iran war and global economic shocks reshape the balance of power at the summit, forcing both leaders to confront not just each other, but the limits of their own leverage? The story began on February 20th, 2026, when the White House confirmed Trump's upcoming visit to Beijing. The atmosphere was tense. Just months earlier, the U.S. had imposed tariffs of up to 145% on Chinese goods, igniting another round of economic brinkmanship. A fragile truce was holding, suspending some tariffs and export controls, including on rare earths, vital elements for American industry. The U.S., concerned about China's dominance in rare earths and advanced chip manufacturing, sought to regain ground. China, with a $1.2 trillion trade surplus in 2025 and the U.S. as its largest buyer, wanted predictability, stability, and a path to continued growth. Yet geopolitics rarely stands still. 1 week after the summit was announced, President Trump approved joint U.S.-Israel strikes on Iran, citing security imperatives and the need to deter regional threats. Israel, for its part, argued the operation was essential for its national security, referencing years of tension and concerns over Iran's regional ambitions. The outbreak of war triggered a cascade of events that would upend both the summit's schedule and the global order. The conflict's shockwaves were immediate and severe. By early March, the Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for 20% of the world's oil, was closed. Energy prices soared. The U.S. military found itself stretched thin, missile stockpiles rapidly depleting, with estimates showing that rebuilding key munitions could take 1 to 4 years. The U.S. faced a dilemma: maintain pressure abroad or risk strategic exhaustion. China observed this escalation with strategic caution. Rather than join sanctions, Beijing continued importing Iranian oil, underlining its commitment to energy security. China's Foreign Minister, Wang Yi, called for a comprehensive cessation of hostilities and reaffirmed support for Iran's sovereignty, a position in line with long-standing non-interference principles. At the same time, China moved to insulate itself from global shocks, ramping up strategic oil reserves and accelerating investment in green energy. While the U.S. sought to isolate Iran, China focused on diversification, hedging against further instability. The economic fallout was global. The IMF warned that the Iran war could tip the world into recession. Oil prices remained high, straining economies already weakened by trade disputes. In the U.S., the public grew restless. Polls showed that most Americans viewed China as an economic rival, not a military threat, and blamed tariffs for rising costs and lost jobs. An overwhelming majority believed the Iran war was harming national security, the cost of living, and America's reputation abroad. Discontent surged, complicating Trump's political calculus ahead of the November 2026 midterm elections. In the background, the U.S. and China maintained a fragile trade truce. Both sides had incentives to avoid escalation. The U.S. needed China's rare earths and manufacturing capacity, while China counted on the U.S. as its top export market. Yet each side pressed its advantage. The U.S. pushed China to buy more American goods, from soybeans to aircraft, aiming to bolster domestic industries and employment. China, for its part, demanded relief from export controls on advanced chips and an extension of the tariff truce, seeking space to grow its own tech sector. As the war in Iran dragged into its third month, Trump's position weakened. The military was overstretched, the economy was fragile, and public opinion was turning. The summit, postponed at the war's outset, was rescheduled for May 13th to 15th. When the two leaders finally met in Beijing, the atmosphere had shifted. China's state media framed the summit as a milestone and a new historical juncture, language signaling confidence but also recognition of mutual risk. The negotiations were complex. The U.S. pressed Beijing to help end the Iran war, with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent urging China to pressure Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. China showed little interest in direct involvement, emphasizing dialogue and stability, but avoiding entanglement. Both sides recognized their interdependence. The U.S. needed Chinese cooperation to stabilize energy markets and global supply chains. China needed continued access to American consumers and technological know-how. Yet the summit exposed their limits. Trump faced domestic pressure to bring down prices and restore America's standing. Xi prioritized stability and growth but was wary of overcommitting. Each leader brought a list of demands but found few easy answers. The war in Iran, once distant, now shaped every calculation: military, economic, and diplomatic. As talks concluded, the world watched for signs of breakthrough or breakdown. Public opinion in the U.S. remained skeptical of both China and the cost of global engagement. Most Americans wanted lower tariffs, cheaper goods, and an end to endless wars, yet saw little cause for optimism. This summit, in the end, was less about dominance than about navigating vulnerability. The Iran war and global economic pressures had revealed just how much the fates of the U.S. and China, rivals and partners, are intertwined. In 2026, power was not defined by the ability to dictate terms, but by the necessity of negotiation. The era of easy certainty was over. The world's two largest economies faced a new reality. Their greatest strength and greatest risk now lay in their uneasy interdependence. The stories that define tomorrow are already unfolding today. Subscribe to Today in Context for clear, grounded analysis of the events shaping our world, one story at a time.